Hi, hello. Welcome to another episode of Isaiah's Newsstand. It's your host, Isaiah Edwards. The date is April the 27th, 2024. Hopefully, this episode finds you well, in good spirits, and high hopes. As for me, I'm doing pretty good. I started my day off nice and early, doing some laundry. Oh, it was so fun. It was so great. Actually, it went fine. It was well. Let's see here. Food corner from last night. We had a pizza day. Hooray for pizza day! But this was a hard one. I kind of had to go in the trenches. I fucked up, and I got to start by saying I fucked up because it's a me thing. I know that I could have easily corrected this issue had I just, not just like, just dumb fingered my keys and said, okay, pizza time. So I ordered my pizza like I often do. I wait, until I see, because Domino's, they give you a little the little, what is it, the tracker, baking tracker. So once it says bake, I know I'm good to go. It'll be ready to go by the time I get there. So I pull up like usual, and the cashier is just giving me the blankest face. Asked my name like twice, and I was like, I think something's wrong. I look at the email and I see that I've ordered it to a Domino's like literally across town, like 15 minutes away from me. And I'm like, I don't get it. So like the whole time I'm grumbling, I'm upset. I'm worried that my pizza's not gonna be as optimum because of this. I'm just so upset. I'm mad. I'm real mad. But I know that this is my fault. So we gotta take the L on that. Overall, it was still pizza. It was still good. Also, they had that deal, and I guess it's still going. So if you want in, by all means, not sponsored. You can get two large pizzas for $6.99, which I this is how you know I'm not sponsored. That's crazy. That doesn't make sense. Like, it's too much fucking pizza, and I get it. Like, if you're a family or something like that, this is gonna totally be making your night. You know what I mean? That's a good deal. You can't lose. But I'm just one guy. That's too much goddamn pizza. I left so much. I left practically a whole pizza on the table, and you just hate to see that. But yeah, what were the pizzas? What did I order? I had a sausage and provolone cheese pizza. It was yummy, with the tomato sauce, and then I had a what was it? A pineapple and cheese blend, cheddar cheese blend. I think it was. So yeah, a little bit of pineapple on the other pizza type of bit with the barbecue sauce. And they were both pretty good. But like I said, I just literally got through halfway about on each of them, and I'm just like, I can't do this. Like, I got things to do tomorrow. This is gonna ruin them. So I'm honestly glad that I knew when to say when there. But all right, enough gabbing about laundry and pizza. Let's go ahead and do our startup, and we'll get into some news. Though I say this, and we're about to go right into some food news, technically. Ooh. Ooh. Also, just to talk about the weather, I'm glad that at least yesterday was in the 70s. That was nice, and it looks like it's going to be in the 70s today as well. So you love to see it. All right. From CNBC, Red Lobster seeks a buyer as it looks to avoid bankruptcy filing. Let's read on here. Beleaguered seafood chain Red Lobster is seeking a buyer as it looks to avoid filing for bankruptcy, CNBC has learned. The company has considered filing for bankruptcy to help it restructure its debt and get out of a number of costly and lengthy leases. But it is also sought but it's also sought a buyer in recent months. People familiar with the matter told CNBC. At least one firm had been interested in buying the chain, but a deal never came to fruition. It's unclear how the chain will ultimately resolve its financial woes. Red Lobster could secure a buyer, it could declare bankruptcy, or its lenders could take control of the company. Even if Red Lobster finds a buyer, it could be hard for it to avoid filing for Chapter 11 as it is trying to get out of many leases, and those contracts can be difficult to break outside of bankruptcy. The people said. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. Maybe you don't care about Red Lobster. I don't really know how my listeners rock and roll here, but I mean, I've said this before. I'm a big fan of the Cheddar Bay biscuits. So much so that I make them things at home. But like before I really became a stoner, I remember Red Lobster was like one of those like just big like food moments for me. You know what I mean? Just being able to go and eat some like what I felt was a swanky little meal, and they had the best bread. You just couldn't lose. But it's crazy in this article to be like to hear them say like, oh, they were kind of like beat out by the likes of like a Panera cafe or a Chipotle because they could just bang out orders that people wanted. And it's like, yeah, I guess I would rather go and either sit down here and eat for cheaper compared to Red Lobster and faster, or go to a Chipotle and just get like a smorgasbord of food, in a bowl or wrapped up and, call it a day. Once again, still cheaper than a Red Lobster. And oftentimes they would just kind of pop up in like similar areas. So it's like, damn, this is like our competition now. And they're just faster, leaner, and more efficient somehow. But yeah, I mean, I think another big thing that they talk about in this article that I really wanted to hit before we just move on, it's not the craziest news, but, despite the fact that they were able to survive Panera, or not Panera, but survive Panera and the pandemic, I think what kind of bit them in the foot was the thing that they kind of used to get people back into Red Lobster, which is the amount of endless shrimp times that they were doing. I didn't know that they had gotten to a point where they were like doing daily endless shrimp and like keeping it that way. Like that to me is just so bad risk. You know what I mean? Because like yeah, you're gonna get people in the front door and like this quarter of your business, maybe for a certain amount of time, but like over time, people are just going to get way too used to that, and you can't feed that beast. Like, you just can't afford it. It's a waste of fucking money to just be, like, shoving down shrimp down people's gullets, and it's just not getting enough people in anymore. Me personally, I know that it's like, well, oh, as a customer, you don't want to hear this, but I always remember, like, I always think, like, IHOP kind of has the best model when it comes to, like, the endless thing, because they bait you with the endless every once in a while. Like, hey, we'll give you endless pancakes. And when you get there, they're going to fucking kite you and give you like 2 pancakes a go or whatever. It's a very annoying process. They're also going to get you on the sampler and all this other shit so they can juice the fucking money out of your wallet. But like, to do this nonstop, it's too much. And I think it dilutes it and it doesn't make it as special of a thing. I don't know. That being said, I will say Olive Garden's model is fine. If you just say order this, you get all the bread and soup, but that's bread and soup. Like, I feel like that's easy. If you're struggling on bread and or soup, then yeah, it's just time to pack it in. If you hear me doing an OG bankruptcy over that, then you just knew. It was in the water. I don't know. I'm just kind of talking shit here. Yeah, let's go ahead and move on to the next thing. Hopefully not RIP to Red Lobster. I still have a little place in my heart for Red Lobster, even though I don't really go. I don't know. That was like the last place I think I did like a big 420 meal. It was with my friends at a Red Lobster, and it was so funny because the waiter knew, but they were cool, and they like on a little to-go box, they put a little stoner smiley face, and it's like, have a good holiday, and like I don't know. Ever since then, I was like, man, I fuck with Red Lobster the long way. It's crazy they put them lobsters like right up front and shit, but I love them shits, man. I love this place. So yeah, I hope that they stay in business. You know what I mean? Hopefully they get their shit together. Start stretching this shit out is all I'm really saying. Not endless shrimp forever. You just can't do it. It's not sustainable. Okay. From Good Morning America. Woman becomes first patient to undergo combined heart pump implant and pig kidney transplant. So the double whammy, triple whammy, I don't know. It's a lot of procedures. In a first of its kind procedure, a terminally ill patient has become the first person in the world to undergo a gene-edited pig kidney transplant and also have a mechanical heart pump surgically implanted. So yeah, the first time I read this, I was kind of confused, and I'm like, I've literally covered a pig kidney transplant. We covered that. It was Slayman. And but it's like, no. we're doing that. We're doing the mechanical heart pump as well. And I think there's another surgery that happens in this process. It's like an LVAD or something. And essentially, all this comes together, but it happens because of the fact that she's going to have this pig kidney that is genetically modified to help her fight an immune system disease thing. So it's like pretty interesting shit as always when it comes to these kind of surgery. I think it's called a xenotransplant, I believe. But surgeons at NYU Langone Health in New York City performed the operation in 2 steps. The first being the implementation of the heart pump. The second took place days later with the transplant of a genetically modified pig kidney and the pig's thymus gland, which makes white blood cells to help the immune system fight disease to help prevent rejection. The patient is 54-year-old Lisa Pisano from New Jersey, who is facing heart failure and end-stage kidney disease. NYU Langone said Wednesday, due to several chronic conditions, including being on dialysis, she was not a candidate for a heart transplant or a kidney transplant, the hospital said. Additionally, Pisano had high levels of antibodies harmful to human tissue that would make it difficult to find a match for a human kidney transplant. According to the hospital, however, these antibodies were not harmful to gene-edited pig organs. So, I mean, this was essentially the only kind of shot she had, which is oftentimes, where we find, these patients, which is something I was kind of dwelling on and thinking on. It really sucks is that more times than not, for these medical historic landmarks to happen, you kind of have to be, some poor down on your luck person. And it's like, oh yeah, we'll try this like experimental thing on you, and like hopefully it'll work. And sometimes it works, or at least does a thing of giving you more time. You know what I mean? Even when like we talked about the person who got the pig heart transplant, they didn't live forever. They died months after the fact, but that was still a big thing. But I was thinking about that, man. Like it just kind of sucks that we have these like big moments, but essentially once again you're just a big guinea pig, and then like maybe in the future this becomes more of a streamlined thing for like others, probably people with like money, and they get it better and quicker and faster. But that was me getting in the weeds over a good thing, and I shouldn't do that. But still, for Bisano, super sweet that this came together and it happened. It seems super fucking complicated, and then there's a lot of stuff in. I wanted to get this LVAD thing in here because I feel like that was important. Pisano's 2 procedures were performed by separate surgical teams about 9 days apart. The first, on April 4th, involved the surgical insertion of a device called a left ventricle assist device, or a LVAD, which helps pump blood from the lower left heart chamber to the rest of the body. Let's see. NYU Langone says it typically is used in patients who are waiting for a heart transplant or ineligible to receive a transplant. The hospital added that Pisano would only have days or weeks to live without the LVAD. So pretty much all this came together because of the pig kidney situation, like the pig parts. So obviously that makes it very interesting. And as to the fact of like, it allows us to like be able to do more and push medicine to further boundaries, frontiers, whatever. So, I think it's very cool, and I think it's very awesome. And, glad that Pisano is going to get more time with her family. Definitely looking at their pictures and stuff. They're very sweet. There's a picture, I think, with her and like maybe her grandkids or something, and they got their little stutter shades on. I remember those when I was growing up. That was really cool. We thought Kanye was doing something. That was before the anti-Semitism. But anyway, I'm getting flashbacks. Let's move on to the next thing. From CNN, the final result was good. 130 whales rescued from mass beach stranding in Western Australia. Also, this is a random aside. I'm seeing a Hulu Thank You Goodnight, the Bon Jovi story. And I don't know, this maybe is a hot take, and I know I should be talking about goddamn whales in Australia. I'm not the biggest Bon Jovi fan. I'm just not. I don't know. I mean, I'm down to be convinced. I'm not saying He's bad. I just don't get moved when I hear many Bon Jovi songs, and I don't know. Maybe I'm just testy because someone equated a thing I like to Bon Jovi, and I was like, shut the fuck up. It's not even the same thing. Steel Monkey is nowhere near as cool as any Bon Jovi song. Okay. But anyway, I'm sorry. I'm getting very personal about things that no one knows about. Anyway, um, but yes, from CNN, a dramatic operation to save the lives of more than 100 pilot whales ended in partial success on Thursday after wildlife officials managed to return most of the stranded animals to sea. Rescue teams rushed to the beach located in the coastal town of Dunsborough, south of Perth, to tend to the whales. It was an overwhelming sight, said Ian Weiss, chair of Geography Marine Research Group, who was involved in the rescue operation on Thursday. Let's see. In total, 130 whales were returned to the sea after a total of 160 whales were breached, or were beached. I'm sorry, according to the Department of Parks and Wildlife Service, Western Australia, or DPAW. However, at least 28 whales died. So obviously that part's unfortunate, but to be able to get that many whales that were beached back into the ocean is very good. It's very great. Um, Now, that being said, let's see. Whale pods can beach themselves again even after being saved as a result of spotter planes in the area. Or as a result, spotter planes in the area are continuing to watch and see if the released animals will return to shore. So far, they have remained off the beach. And this is something we've kind of covered a little bit, and why I kind of continue to want to talk about it is that like it's crazy the communal sense that whales can have, like, and how like that's such a strong thing, that sense of community and being able to be like, look, I will echolocate you, I will find you no matter what, brother, sister, we are a group, we are a pod, we are going to protect each other no matter what. But like that is so good out in deep water, but like let's say something can happen, and it might be, it's potentially alleged, we don't know, but like maybe there was like a newborn baby that died or was not doing well and had washed up, like it had this umbilical cord or whatever, and that might have been the cause of the reason. But essentially these whales are so communal, they were like, no, we all have to stay together, we all have to stay together. So they all just got closer and closer and closer, closer and closer, and then all get beached on, you know, out in Perth, and that's crazy. Like this sense of community, this binding, winds up becoming a detriment, right? And I mean, maybe that's a quote on society. I don't know, but that being said, it's very sad that this happens. You know, we've like I said before, it's not the first time we've kind of covered this. I feel like I want to say phenomena, but this happening. But that being said, it's good that this isn't a situation where all of the whales died. You know what I mean? That like 130 whales were, made it back to sea. That's awesome. So we love to see that. It was cool to see the people come out and do the best they could to, help out these whales. We love to see that. Speaking of society, like once again, it's nice just to get some, silver linings in here. We get pig transplant, we get whales getting saved. And then let's see here. We have one more thing I wanted to really cover. I'm trying to think. Do we miss any notes here? No, we did. We talked our shit. I feel good about it. Let's talk about Reggie Bush. Let's do a little sports news because a happening happened, and I wanted to kind of talk about it. Just kind of talk about my old days, about when I used to like sports. But speaking of Bush, I gotta do my last break. How about that? There we go. Ooh wee. Okay. Our last story comes from ESPN. Reggie Bush gets Heisman Trophy back 14 years after forfeiting. Reggie Bush has his 2005 Heisman Trophy back, as the Heisman Trust announced Wednesday the formal reinstatement of the trophy to Bush amid what it calls enormous changes in the high school, I'm sorry, in the college football landscape. The Heisman Trust decision comes after Bush forfeited his Heisman Trophy in 2010 in the wake of significant NCAA sanctions for USC, which included Bush receiving improper benefits during a Trojans career that spanned from 2003 to 2005. Now, this was during that time when I was in high school. I guess probably that was on my brain. And something I did to kind of fit in, and I had nothing better to do really, was I would watch ESPN. I was like on Sports Center, so like I gave a shit about sports. I'd watch big games at least, like bowl games and things like that. And I remember there was something about Reggie Bush and just the USC Trojans in general. They were an amazing fucking team to watch. They were just doing crazy, explosive ass fucking shit. Like Reggie Bush was a phenomenal fucking player. So him getting the Heisman Trophy, it's a big thing, it's a big deal. But in some ways, it was no surprise. Like he was just not just above. He was great. So the fact that there was like this behind the scenes controversy of like him getting like, I guess you could say, bribes or kickbacks, because back then at that time you couldn't, as a student, receive any kind of incentive or any kind of money. Like you weren't getting paid. You know what I mean? Hence why I wanted to make news and talk about that shit when it happened, when the Supreme Court finally ruled in favor of students, being like, hey, you guys aren't like some amateurs. You don't deserve money. You do deserve money for what you're doing. You deserve compensation. So this all kind of comes together. And I guess I should try to elaborate, I guess, on what happened in terms of what incentives he was getting, at least to my knowledge, because I'm not that deep into it. But I got this, I think, from Start Here, ABC podcast. He was getting kickbacks from like a agent, and he was using like this kind of kickbacks to like pay for debt and things like that for his family, making sure that everything was accounted for and good. Because once again, you're a college student. You're not getting paid for this shit. Yes, you are a radiant, awesome talent, but like technically, if you get an injury, this could all be over for you, and you won't have this fucking, amazing, NFL career. He goes on to join the Saints. But yeah, I mean, so yes, he takes this money, but then the agent goes, actually, I'm gonna need that shit back, and I'm gonna like try to get my money back legally. I think he tries to get his money back legally, to my memory. And this sparks a whole thing, which then now, the NCAA has to address it. They have to deal with it. And I mean, they go as far to literally like take games off the record, take trophies off the shelves, for USC, which is a crazy thing. And that's something that's still, I think, being contested legally. I think Reggie Bush has filed a lawsuit as of like August. But yeah, let's go ahead and read a quote. Personally, I'm thrilled to reunite with my fellow Heisman winners and be a part of the storied legacy of the Heisman Trophy. And I'm honored to return to the Heisman family, Bush said in a statement to ESPN. I also look forward to working together with the Heisman Trust to advance the values and mission of the organization. Bush received his Heisman Trophy at the end of a previously scheduled summit meeting of the Trust on Wednesday morning outside of Jacksonville, Florida. Tim Henning, Associate Director of the Heisman Trust, described a celebratory atmosphere to ESPN's Collie Harvey as about 15 Heisman winners were in the attendance in the meeting. I think another thing I wanted to kind of talk about too here, because Bush had really been fighting since 2021 to really like get like his trophy returned, get reinstated. But the Trust themselves were kind of curbing him. But let's see here. There had been a flurry of recent support from Heisman winners for Bush to get the trophy back. The most public came from former Texas A&M star Johnny Manziel, who said earlier this year that he would skip the Heisman Trophy ceremony until Bush's trophy was returned. Both USC's Matt Leinart, which I believe was a quarterback, that was like on my brain. He was like also a really good, awesome talent. Former teammate, and Notre Dame's Tim Brown are Heisman winners who have been outspoken publicly about Bush's trophy being returned. So, I mean, overall, I think this is a good thing. I'd also like to see, overall, just that shit, with USC, and then their records and all that kind of shit be reinstated too. I feel like it's a very trivial ass fucking thing. They were trying to make an example in that moment because they didn't like this behavior and they wanted to really squash it. But luckily, it's like, no, these people should be getting paid for what they're doing. They're doing professional work. Like, it doesn't matter if it's at a college or not. So I'm glad that the pressure really worked here and that there was a new decision and there was a turnaround and Bush gets his big ass, heavy ass looking trophy. I don't know. It feels like it's heavy, but I mean, I know these dudes are brawling ass motherfuckers, but I don't know if I could lift that shit. Goddamn. But yeah, that's where I'll leave it for today. Yeah, that feels good. If you'd like to help out financially, take your support to the next level, you become a newsie today. Patreon.com/Isaiah News. Also, free ways to hit me up, IsaiahNews1@gmail.com. Feel free to find me or the podcast on any of the socials. And hopefully subscribe to the YouTube, if not the YouTube, and or, any platform you're listening on, be it Spotify, Apple, whatever. But yeah, likes help out a lot. Cool comments help out a lot. Sharing is caring. It can be fun. But yeah, hopefully I see you soon for some more good news. I love you. Bye-bye. Mwah.